Here is a beautiful forest, but legally it has no rights, so loggers clear all of it.
No trees, no insects, no monkeys, the indigenous populations forced out, the rivers contaminated. Hundreds and hundreds of miles of slaughtered tree stumps and fog. Nothing remains. So the loggers move on to the next beautiful rainforest. This one has the right to exist, to be restored and respected. So the loggers still use the forest, but this time with foresight and care, in a practical but sustainable way that allows for both continued utility and regeneration, not just quick cash and decay. For millennia, our Western world has treated land and nature as property, that nature is beneath us and that nature only exists to further our industries and line our pockets. This viewpoint of anthropocentrism, the belief in human-centered superiority, has allowed us to lose 68% of our biodiversity since 1970. As a result of unabridged human activity, the extinction rate of plants has become 500 times the standard background rate. The ecological footprint of the human species is exceeding Earth's biological capacity. It is predicted that we will reach a point of no return by 2035. Our planet will and already is experiencing catastrophic, irreversible consequences due to the continued destruction of mining, deforestation, coal, oil, and gas production. By continuing to view nature as an object, we allow the continued destruction of wildlife and the exploitation of ecosystems for human profit. We allow these terrifying, looming statistics to become reality. But this doesn't have to be the case. Instead, an ideological paradigm shift can occur. Instead of viewing ourselves as above nature, we can and are starting to recognize that the entire existence of our future human generations is reliant on the preservation of nature. This is ecocentrism. Every breath we take, every bite that we eat, every drink that we swallow, physically, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally connect us back to the earth. The Rights of Nature movement is emerging as a dominant global movement to transform human consciousness and create a framework for living in harmony with nature. The more traditional and widely accepted form of protecting nature historically occurs in environmental protection law. Long-term targets, governmental laws, and corporate contracts are often conceived in confidential negotiations between governments and corporations. These targets are rarely reached and are immensely difficult to enforce. Without disclosure and transparency, environmental protection laws appease the public by theoretically lowering the amount of environmental harm that occurs without solving the much larger issue at hand, that ecological destruction is even legal in the first place. This is not holding polluters accountable. This is not enough. This is zero regard for nature's inherent right to exist and be respected. The concept of the rights of nature has been around for millennia, as for many indigenous cultures around the world, recognizing the rights of nature is consistent with their worldview of living in interconnected harmony with nature. Even though indigenous communities comprise of less than 5% of the world's population, indigenous people protect 80% of global biodiversity. That is not a coincidence. However, the Western world was unfamiliar with the concept of rights of nature until Southern California law professor Christopher Stone's seminal article, Should Trees Have Standing? Published in 1972, Stone described how nature was considered rightless under the existing structure of law, having no legally recognized rights to defend and enforce. In 1989, Professor Roderick Nash published a book which asserts that the formation of the scientific pursuit of ecology was the beginning of the widening of the ethical circle away from anthropocentrism.
In 2006, Cormac Cullinan published Wild Law.
To paraphrase, just as slaves or women were formerly not considered legal subjects, nature too has been deprived of legal protections and rights. Hence, the legal system needs to evolve.
In 2008, Ecuador, the most biodiverse country on Earth, became the first country to recognize rights of nature in its constitution, in response to the country's long history of oil and gas extraction exploitation. This constitutional recognition marked a paradigm shift in environmental law, asserting that nature can and deserves to possess intrinsic rights to exist, flourish, evolve, and be integrally restored. This distinction is game-changing, as if a person is a victim, if their human rights are neglected or abused, you can take their case to court and fight for justice. So why not trees, oceans, animals, mountains, rivers, and plants? These natural entities have been victims of ecocide and exploitation for so long. Why should they not be able to fight for justice and change?
It may appear unconventional to name nature a rights holder. However, the law is simply a formal agreement about how we choose to live together, and actually we already recognize non-human entities as rights holders, notably corporations.
If the corporations exploiting nature have legal standing, it is time we leveled the playing field and allowed nature, its victim, to have its voice heard in law. As Article 71 of the Ecuadorian Constitution outlines, every person, community, or people can demand the public authority and compliance of nature rights. Hence, every person has the ability to enforce these rights on behalf of ecosystems. In the same way that a parent takes legal guardianship for their child, the ecosystem itself can be named as the injured party with its own legal standing rights. At GARN, we advocate for justice for these nature victims, that while they cannot speak for themselves in court, their sorrowing and suffering is evident in many other ways. However, this does not mean that every tree or bird gets its own personal lawyer. Instead, we target breaches of ecosystem collapse, prioritizing cases of ecocide. These are the types of exploitation that could push a species to extinction or topple an entire ecosystem due to ecological reciprocity. But we don't forget that all of nature has inherent rights that are worth defending. For instance, in March 2023, 2 frog species on the brink of extinction won a court case to revoke the environmental license of the Lurimagua copper mining project located in the cloud forest of the tropical Andes of Ecuador, one of the world's most biodiverse hotspots. Because this mining project would likely lead to the extinction of these frogs, the community was able to argue for its unconstitutionality. In February 2022, Panama joined the 39 countries now recognizing the rights of nature at their national level. By November of that year, Panama had used the rights of nature legal framework to entirely prevent the trade of shark finning, a horrific practice prompting not just the mass loss of sharks but extreme destruction to its larger marine ecosystem as a result, and has also been able to pass coherent laws to protect the leatherback turtles, for example. Between 1985 and 2013, 279,507 people, almost half of the population of Choco, Colombia, was internally displaced, creating a humanitarian crisis of massive proportions due to the devastation of extractivism, monoculture agriculture, and gold mining. The immense environmental degradation, accumulated trash, chemicals, and other forms of pollution of the Atrato River resulting from these unchecked industries have had enormous consequences on the riverine communities of Choco, aquatic life, and the entire region's biodiversity. So, in 2016, the Atrato River became recognized as a rights-holding subject, with rights for its protection, conservation, maintenance, and restoration, so that the species and Chocoano people alike can continue to thrive in relation to the Atrato River. However, this movement isn't just limited to Latin America. In 2017, the Wanganui River in New Zealand was granted legal personhood, recognizing it as an indivisible and living whole with protection rights. India's High Court of Uttarakhand followed suit in 2018, granting legal personhood to the Ganges and Yamuna rivers to safeguard their environmental integrity. Mar Menor in Spain became the first case in Europe to recognize the rights of nature in 2022. GARN was founded in 2010. We serve as a global hub for connecting and fostering relationships, exchanging knowledge, and building an intersectional movement, and nurturing collaboration to advance the understanding and implementation of the rights of nature. We have become the go-to place for winning rights of nature cases, education, and awareness. In 2018, GARN established regional and thematic hubs to support deeper global collaboration on core themes, such as legal advancement, youth engagement, indigenous-led rights of nature actions, and academic research. GARN has since also established 5 regional hubs in Latin America, Africa, Europe, North America, and Asia-Pacific hubs. Recognizing and respecting the rights of nature has the capacity to change the direction humanity is taking our planet for the better. Join the global movement at GARN by becoming a member for free here to learn more and be a part of the shift. Thank you for watching!